This is Just Talking, where Marissa and I bring you all the latest news that's been happening all around the world. And get this, on Wednesday, the American people witnessed the 59th presidential inauguration of President Joe Biden. And Vice President Kamala Harris became the first woman to inherit the office in over 233 years. As of right now, the United States has a Democratic president, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic House. As the new chapter in democracy is now in the present, there is no excuse, none whatsoever, to not deliver on the promises that millennials are most passionate about. Now, this is a test for the Democratic Party. As someone who literally graduated during the pandemic, I want to know what this administration will do for the student loan crisis, as so many Americans like me aren't financially free. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, federal student loans reached an all-time high, nearing $1.6 trillion among more than 40 million Americans. And Joe, I will give you credit. You have no idea what kind of relief you have given me by extending the nearly year-long pause on predatory debt. But on average, student loan borrowers owe between $200 to $299 every month, with nearly 6 in 10 borrowers saying it would be very difficult to restart payments on their loans, based on a Pew Research study in November. While many Americans rely on Social Security to fund their retirement, millennials, including Gen Z, believe the program will not be around anymore for them to use. We're no longer the new kids on the block. We are the young adults in our 20s and our 30s. And many Black Americans want Biden and Harris to keep their promise to address police brutality and systematic racism. And according to a report from The Circle, young Black voters had the highest percentage of support for Biden out of all other ethnicities, with 87%. And roughly 6 in 10 from each generation say increased racial and ethnic diversity is a good thing for our society. And millennials and Gen Z are passionate about the planet, the environment, social justice, and poverty. And Joe and Kamala, do you plan to address this volatile split in our country, or will you ignore it? Because listeners, my message for young Americans is this: fuck party allegiance. Don't be fooled by the blue and red tape. If we really want change, we can't rely on this administration to make things happen for us. We need more young Americans to take politics seriously and run for public office. So, Marissa, how should each generation hold the new administration accountable?
All politics are local.
Yep.
So you got to start on your local level if you want to start changing things. It's something that I'm starting to kind of look into. But it really is starting there, because there's so much happens on a local level with your town, in your community. And then the federal legislation is just like an overbroad.
Right.
But that's where it all starts, because states, we're 50 states. Each state can have their own legislation, their own stuff. The federal is just a guideline above that. So come on, California.
Yeah, especially and think of it like this. I want to leave one last note, especially for the listeners out there, because when you think about what Joe said back in March in 2020, he tweeted this. He said that he wants to forgive at least $10,000 worth of student loans. And I hear a lot of baby boomers bitching about this, acting as if, though, we can't set aside $400 million to help start the economy again and get those credit scores up for a lot
they need
of
to forgive it all. And anybody who's paid back their student loans, give them a tax break. Okay,
I mean,
let's make it fair across the board.
I mean, let's remind people there's $1.6 trillion that still needs to be paid in student loans. You're gonna tell me that you can't forgive $400 million? That's the craziest shit I've ever heard. And we gotta start moving on.